The Eye and Ear Foundation has a 30-year history as a support organization for the two departments at the university that focus specifically on the conditions related to vision, hearing, and other conditions related to ear, nose, and throat. So what we have been providing in support has mainly been focused on advancing care.
I started my career as a practicing ophthalmologist, so I trained as a resident already in the early 80s, and initially I was mostly focusing on surgery for cataracts and cases where you get a lot of success with surgery and also glaucoma. But eventually I was struck by the increasing prevalence of age-related macular degeneration and also how many retina diseases like retinitis pigmentosa or genetic disorders had absolutely no treatment.
I've been in Pittsburgh in the Department of Otolaryngology almost my entire adult life. I arrived in 1979 and was promoted to chairman in 2005. And I've pretty much committed my entire adult life to caring for patients who have cancer of the throat.
The University of Pittsburgh, the Eye and Ear Institute, is a really exciting place to be because of the unique interplay with clinicians and researchers. It's that unique kind of environment where the clinicians and researchers really have a nice exchange of ideas and the ability to really kind of cross-pollinate, if you will, each other's disciplines.
One of the attractive things that made me move my lab from Texas to Pittsburgh was being in a clinical department, being a Department of Ophthalmology, where I'm surrounded by basic researchers like myself, but also clinicians who are in the trenches every day treating these patients, treating the diseases, and trying to really work with us to develop therapies that are going to be effective.
The major focus of what we do every day has to do with what's best for the patient. And if you keep that in mind, everything else falls into place. Just a couple blocks away, you have the Swanson School of Engineering at the University of Pittsburgh, and a couple more blocks away, you have Carnegie Mellon. You have the medical profession, you have the hospitals, and you have the engineering. What more could you ask for? It doesn't exist anywhere else.
The University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine and UPMC have a tremendous breadth and depth of surgical experience. So we really are uniquely poised to be one of the few cities in the world that can really put together top-notch people in two different fields.
I remember when I developed Meniere's disease, I knew I was having fluctuating hearing loss, and I could really monitor it best by putting the telephone to my ear, and then I could tell how good or bad it was. Or if I was somewhere and I turned around and there was someone on my left side giving me a dirty look, because they had said hi to me 4 times and I ignored them. Sometimes I would get to the point where I would just smile, and I learned one day I smiled when somebody told me that their father had passed away because I didn't hear her, and I decided I couldn't do that anymore.
Leading up to my diagnosis, I felt like I was very clumsy, I was tripping on things, bumping into things, and I just kind of thought I was clumsy. And then I went to see the ophthalmologist, and he said, maybe you need to see a specialist. So I went to see a retinologist, and then he confirmed. He said, well, I think you might have, he wasn't sure for sure. And he said, I think you might have something called retinitis pigmentosa. So my brother, my sister, my parents, we all went to Boston and got our evaluations, and then they confirmed that I had retinitis pigmentosa and my brother had it. When I first got diagnosed, the initial doctor that diagnosed me said, oh, you're a visual artist? Well, forget about that. You're going to be blind. That's it. See you. Goodbye.
So in my mind, it was like, okay, I can adapt. I can manage this, and maybe by the time I'm in my 60s, they'll have this research, and that was 30 years ago. So I'm very grateful for all these amazing researchers continuing to do the research, because I've been hanging on with this gradual, loss of more and more vision, because it's like, well, I'm waiting on these folks to do the stem cell and the gene stuff because I'm hanging in there.
We now have a critical mass of both scientists and clinicians that are going to be focused on advancing this care into the future. And this is the first time since I've been here that it's reached a level of excitement that I'm seeing right now.
One of the big changes over the last year since Dr. Sahel has been here is that we now can easily access these people. Grants are starting to go out, teams are being built, kind of both in Pittsburgh, in Paris, and then through world collaborators that are also established that are really starting to address some of the tougher problems in ophthalmology.
We are working on gene therapy to correct the genetic defects. We are talking about replacing the cells, stem cells. We are talking about prosthetics. So everything is now happening, but it's only the early days. We know that there are so many things which we don't know. We have to discover. We also have to test and to improve again and again and again. So I think this is the opportunity to build this institution as a patient-centric, extremely sophisticated, extremely advanced and cutting edge, but also holistic and integrative.
What we've done is pull together a team of professionals, which includes a nurse, it includes a doctor, and then it also includes, for instance, an audiologist, because before we have these visits with people, we want to make sure the patient can hear. A visit to our survivorship clinic takes roughly an hour to an hour and a half. When the patient leaves our survivorship clinic, they're given printed material, which includes a summary of their treatment and information that can help supplement their continued recovery and their survivorship.
Mission 2020 is our Eye and Ear Foundation mission, and there's two components to it. One in ophthalmology, it's a new vision from Pittsburgh, and in otolaryngology, it's new horizons for care. So they both have very critical elements to them that in both departments are important by the chairman's direction to really make an impact for patients in the future.
During my career, I've been really lucky to be able to work in partnership with the Eye and Ear Foundation. The foundation has provided us funding to do all kinds of research. At the same time, it also helps me to reinvent and rearrange the way we actually practice medicine at the bedside.
Philanthropic support makes a huge difference in the research we do. And this is really across the department, that you can't get a project started without feasibility data, without really showing that something's possible. And philanthropic support really bridges the gap between starting a project and getting long-term funding from the NIH, the Department of Defense, DARPA, these sorts of places.
We depend on people, and people who have the means to be able to help the things that are important to them. And I can't imagine anybody not being interested in their hearing, their eyesight, and their health.
So the campaign, which is now starting, is absolutely key for the success of this endeavor. There will be a building, there will be a wonderful platform for clinical care and for research, but the main resource is people. And if we want to attract the best scientists, the best clinicians to this institute, what we have done is already very appealing, but it's even more important to give them the freedom to launch new projects, to get started the day they come with enough support to be successful.
I mean, I just think that what's really important is that we all have to be part of this positive spiral. And I use that term a lot because it really is, because it just builds upon itself. And once you get started, it just builds and builds and builds, and it just turns into an amazing thing at the end. So I think that we all need to play a part.
This is a time that, again, we probably won't see again. here at this institution. I mean, I don't know how many times we'll be focused on growing this to this degree and building, the kind of institute that we want to build in both departments. So this is one of those rare opportunities where we can make an impact and then sustain that impact over time to really get to our goal in helping patients. If you ever have a chance to sit down with a José-Sahel or a Jonas Johnson, any of these very talented faculty that are doing the work here, it won't take you long at all to understand that what we're doing here is very real, very important, and that everybody is very passionate and very confident that we can accomplish our goal. That's the stamp we want to leave, that's the legacy we want to have, and that's ultimately what we are trying to accomplish for Mission 2020.
My daughter's 10, and my hope would be that in 10, 20 years, even if she were beginning to lose vision, that they had a cure for her, that she would not have to go through that.